It's May 17, 1944. Over the steaming jungles of northern Burma, a formation of Curtiss P-40 Warhawks roars through the hazy sky. Painted on each nose is a screaming skull with jagged teeth, the unmistakable mark of the Burma Banshees. Leading the flight is Lieutenant Phil Adair, a calm but seasoned pilot who has spent months flying over this unforgiving land. His mission today: strike Japanese ground positions to support Chinese troops battling below. As Adair grips the control stick, beads of sweat slide down his neck. The air is thick with heat and tension. Beneath him, the jungle canopy stretches endlessly, occasionally torn open by flashes of gunfire. Columns of smoke twist upward where American-trained Chinese soldiers are desperately fighting to hold their ground against the advancing Japanese. Adair gives a short order over the radio. The younger pilots fall into formation behind him. "Stay tight. Follow my lead." Then he pushes forward. The Banshees dive. From below, Japanese troops glance skyward, blinded by sunlight squinting at the glinting warplanes screaming down on them. Moments later, the jungle erupts in thunder. Adair releases his bombs, watching them fall true and vanish into the foliage. Seconds later, a chain of firestorms ripples through the treetops. The ground trembles. Pulling back on the stick, Adair climbs sharply, his plane's nose slicing the air at 45 degrees. But as he ascends, something catches his eye. Dark silhouettes moving fast through the clouds. Fighters, Japanese and not just a few. Adair's voice crackles through the radio.
"Bandits."
11 o'clock high. 3 groups of Japanese Mitsubishi Zero fighters, over 15 aircraft in total, have swooped in, perfectly positioned to attack. Adair instantly sees the danger. They're not aiming for him. They're going for his wingmen. Among them is Lieutenant O'Connor, a younger pilot Adair fondly calls Little Okie. "Okie, jettison your load. Get into the clouds." Adair barks. O'Connor drops his bombs, but curses as his external fuel tank refuses to release. 4 enemy fighters are already diving toward him. He banks hard, trying to disappear into the mist. Adair watches as his wingman and the attacking Zeros vanish into a thick cloud bank. The rest of the Japanese fighters scatter outward, searching for new targets. Adair doesn't hesitate. He shoves the throttle forward and dives after his friend, entering the clouds in pursuit. The world outside turns to gray, then just as quickly, opens back into clear sky. But O'Connor is gone, scanning the horizon. Adair spots movement, 4 Zeros in tight formation heading his way. He pulls his P-40 around and charges straight at them. The lead plane wobbles in his gun sight. Adair waits for the range to close, then squeezes the trigger. Bright tracers streak outward, but the Japanese pilots react instantly. 3 peel away. The 4th keeps coming, head on. Adair holds steady. The 2 aircraft close the distance at terrifying speed. He fires again when, this time, his rounds strike dead center. The Zero disintegrates in mid-air, shattering into fragments that tumble down into the jungle below. Adair banks hard and dives back into the clouds, his heart hammering. But when he emerges, another group is waiting. 4 more Japanese planes streak across his path. He turns directly into them, refusing to flee. The first 3 fighters break off to avoid his fire, but one, perhaps the most daring of the group, holds course. "He's coming straight for me," Adair mutters, gripping the trigger again. The 2 aircraft blaze toward each other in a deadly game of nerve. At the exact moment Adair fires, the Japanese pilot opens up too. Streams of tracers cross through the air. The canopy of the enemy fighter fills Adair's gunsight, then passes directly overhead with a thunderous whomp. The shockwave rocks his plane. Adair rolls his Warhawk inverted and dives, scanning for another threat. Through the swirl of clouds, he spots a glint. Another Zero. This one painted a gleaming emerald green, banking beneath him. "All right, let's dance," he whispers. He dives again, using his altitude to gain speed. The green Zero turns, unaware of the predator above. Adair leads his aim, a perfect deflection shot. When he fires, the Japanese plane's right wing explodes into shrapnel. The fuselage rolls once, then plunges straight down toward the rocks. Adair exhales sharply. "That's 2, he mutters. "Maybe more I've hit. Who knows?" The sky falls silent. Adair looks around. No friendly planes. No O'Connor. No radio chatter. His gauges show his situation is dire. Low fuel, damaged controls, bullet holes peppering the wings. He's deep over enemy territory and he's very much alone. Then, as if to mock him, 5 more Zeros appear from the east, climbing fast. Adair swears under his breath and banks north. But the enemy is closing in. Machine gun fire slashes through the air, tracers flashing past his cockpit. He jerks the stick, throwing his P-40 into a desperate defensive spiral. The aircraft groans under the strain, the horizon spinning wildly. He can feel the bullets tearing through metal somewhere behind him. Adair steadies himself. He knows he can't outrun them for long. He needs cover, and fast. Then he spots it, a thick wall of cloud hugging a jagged mountain ridge. It's risky. One wrong move and he'll smash into the rock face. But it's his only chance. He dives for it. The P-40 hurtles into the mist. The world disappears. For a few seconds, there's nothing but the scream of the engine and the rattle of loose metal. Somehow, he clears the ridge, missing solid stone by mere feet, and bursts out the other side into open air. The radar is silent. The enemy has lost him. Adair steadies the plane and turns toward the north. His hands tremble slightly as he reaches for the radio. Bamboo 2, this is Bamboo Leader. Do you read? Anyone copy? Only static answers him. For a long stretch of time, Adair flies alone. The sky feels endless and empty. The adrenaline fades, replaced by exhaustion and dread. He knows he's lucky to still be alive, but at what cost? Then through the distant haze, something catches his eye, a faint speck in the distance. As it draws closer, his heart leaps. It's a P-40, battered, smoke-streaked, but still airborne. He narrows the gap and recognizes the paint scheme. It's O'Connor. Adair lets out a laugh of disbelief. Against all odds, little Okie survived. He flies up alongside him. O'Connor's aircraft is in terrible shape. The belly tank is still attached, riddled with holes. A massive tear runs along the fuselage where a 20mm shell exploded. Through the shattered canopy, Adair sees O'Connor slumped forward, blood staining his flight suit. But the engine is still running. Somehow. O'Connor notices his commander beside him, raises a shaky hand and points at his dead instruments. Adair nods and gestures toward home. The two pilots bank northward, limping toward Nagaguli Airfield. Just as they settle into formation, the radio crackles to life. Bamboo Leader, this is Bamboo 3. You reading me? Adair recognizes the voice. It's Tom Rogers, another of the Banshees. He reports that he's circling above Sadia, uncertain if his plane can survive a solo landing. Adair hesitates. His own fuel is nearly gone and O'Connor's injuries are severe, but he can't abandon a comrade. He radios back, "Hold tight, Rogers. We're coming." Moments later, the 2 battered P-40s find Rogers' plane, also riddled with bullet holes, its tires completely flat. Adair assesses the situation quickly. "Okie, you take lead. Your speed gauge still works. Rogers, you follow behind. I'll cover you from above." One by one, they line up for approach. Adair circles overhead, watching nervously as O'Connor's crippled aircraft bumps along the runway. Miraculously, it stays upright. Moments later, Rogers touches down, his flat tires shredding, but the plane skidding safely to a stop. Only when both are on the ground does Adair bring his own fighter in, landing softly beside them. As the engine winds down, the jungle's silence rushes in, broken only by the ticking of hot metal. Adair unstraps, jumps from his cockpit and sprints toward O'Connor's aircraft. The canopy is shattered, the seat drenched in blood. Medics rush over. O'Connor is alive, barely. Shrapnel wounds mark his left side and his breathing is shallow. Adair kneels beside him. "You did good, Okie. You made it home." The younger pilot tries to smile but can't speak. He's carried away to the field hospital. Nearby, Rogers climbs out of his plane, shaking his head in disbelief. His Warhawk is riddled with 123 bullet holes, but somehow still intact. Martinez, another pilot who had been separated earlier, appears from down the field, untouched, grinning in relief. 4 men flew out that morning. 4 returned. O'Connor survived that terrible day, though his injuries were severe. The damage to his body ended his flying career. Years later, complications from those same wounds would claim his life. Lieutenant Phil Adair's courage and skill that day became legendary among the Burma Banshees. Alone, he had faced over a dozen Japanese fighters, downed several, and brought his entire flight home alive. When the story spread through the squadron, pilots couldn't stop talking about him. "That Adair's one hell of a pilot," one of them said. "Did you hear how he rolled upside down to make it back? You gotta see this." In the skies over Burma, battles like this played out daily, small encounters that rarely made headlines but decided the fate of entire campaigns. The P-40 Warhawk wasn't the fastest or most advanced fighter of the war, but in the hands of men like Phil Adair and his Burma Banshees, it was a weapon of defiance, proof that courage and skill could turn even the bleakest odds into survival. This was the day a single P-40 fought 15 enemy fighters and lived to tell the tale.